Again, just look how jiggly it is here. So that's a very good sign. Assalamu alaikum HT family, welcome back to the Halal Digest. I'm so excited today. We're going to be reviewing Shepherd Meats Halal Brisket, but not just any brisket, a Wagyu brisket. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. What a blessing to be able to even not only think about enjoying this, but finally having this. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. So what is Wagyu? Very simply, it's a very high grade level of meat, and you have select, then choice, then prime grade meat, and then above that you have Wagyu. Is this the Japanese A5 Wagyu? No. And even if it was a halal option, I know I couldn't afford it. This is something, subhanAllah, when I, planning for reviewing this halal meat delivery company, there was already a 20% discount on their entire website. So I took the opportunity and bought it, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Otherwise, I don't know if I would have bought it if there wasn't a discount, but it worked out, alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. So before I start touching this, I'm going to wear some gloves so I don't have to keep washing my hands. So first off, this is a knife glove. I've introduced HD family to that. This is just to help for protection. Again, nothing is 100% guaranteed, but it's good to take precautions as much as you can. And then I'm going to cover that, because this is cloth, I'm going to cover that with a whatever glove. This is nylon. So that way it stays clean. And this is because I'll be using this hand with my knife, and if I cut myself, it'll decrease the risk. Alright, Steve, so let's get to this brisket here. So this is a packer brisket, so that means it's an entire brisket that includes the flat and the point. They're two different muscles that are held by a fat called the decal. So this fat goes through all the way and it separates the meat. And so the point is more fatty, the flat is more lean. People have their preferences. Now to do this, we are going to open it up. So I have a brand new boning knife. Alhamdulillah, really excited about this. Got this in Amazon. How does it work? I don't know yet. We're going to find out. And if you think that this knife works well during this video, link for that will be in the description below. So we're going to cut this now. There's a couple ways to cut this. You can try to awkwardly cut it like this. But since I know I'm going to cut this off, sometimes I just make an incision this way. This is what I've seen people do. So we're going to make an incision. And yep, pretty sharp, mashallah. And then this, you just want to follow it. Very sharp. One thing I do recommend, always cut away from you. So Shepherd Meat is the only company I know of that offers halal Wagyu brisket, a packer brisket at least. Okay, so we're going to remove this, the packaging, carefully. There's lots of juices. By the way, this weighs 11 pounds, mashallah. Alright, family, so this is an 11-pound brisket. Zabiha halal, of course. They use a halal transaction of Omaha. So this for sure is hand slaughtered, of course, with beef. I don't even know if they offer poultry products, but those potentially can be machine slaughtered. Though I don't know if they have some type of special agreement. Maybe the owners or some of the staff from that company can respond to that if that's true or not. Either way, we're gonna kind of dry out the excess juices here from both sides. So this is called a fat cap, HD family. And we're gonna probably be removing a couple of pounds, shaving by trimming it. Okay, we're not gonna just throw it on there, season it. So there's some trimming we do have to do. Otherwise it's gonna be way too fatty. And also we want the fat to pretty much melt, to almost be the consistency of butter. And so there's just some fat that's not gonna melt, like this decal here. It is just hard, okay? This fat here may melt. We're probably going to still take it off because we want a nice, beautiful bark. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. This is just some oxidation from the meat, so it is a little bit brown. Nothing wrong with the HD family. The plan is to, we're going to actually cook this fat cap down. It's my first time doing it fat cap down, so I'm going to put this on the grill just like this. So, let's remove some of this decal here. And again, cut away. Bismillah. Let's just see how good it is. Bismillah ar-Rahman. Very sharp. Very sharp, HD family. MashaAllah. Excellent. Alright, put this fat to the side. Do not throw it. We're going to do something very special with this fat. And it's expensive too. So I'm going to finish trimming the decal, and then I'll get back to you when I do that. So the meat side is pretty much done. I'm not going to waste my time here with these little tiny amounts. They're going to render off and melt. Yeah, alhamdulillah, that looks pretty good. So there's a ton of fat here. Again, that's not going to render off, but I'm going to cut it off when I flip it over. All right, HD family, forgot to mention the game plan. The game plan here is I'm going to just leave about a 1/4 inch to maybe just a little bit of fat on the point side, but definitely only no more than a 1/4 inch on this side, only because we are going to do it fat cap down, and I want to allow some fat for some insulation here. Some people remove all the fat on the point. Since this is my first time doing fat cap down, I want to be very cautious. All right, HD family, so this is the best I could do on the fat cap. So I have about a 1/4 inch, and then I have a little bit of fat here and there just for protection, but I think most of it's going to render off. There's also sometimes a little bit of fat here, and again, this is what separates the point from the flat. There's a lot of fat here. I actually do like to remove just a little bit of it. Just a little bit. So I'm going to work on removing that. Because again, we don't like it to be too flat, too fatty. So if you recall, there was a ton of fat in here. So I removed all the hard fat. There's still some left, but most of it should render out. Most people don't do this, but I take a little bit extra time because this is just how we like it. We don't like it to be too fatty. So we're done on this side. Alhamdulillah, looks pretty good. All right, Steve family. So we're done trimming. Alhamdulillah, I'm very satisfied. So now we're gonna season this. But first, we're gonna place a binder so that the season sticks. Here's our go-to way to season brisket. We like to add a binder. You could use several types of binder. Some people actually use water. You could use olive oil, hot sauce, Worcestershire sauce. This worked out for me, so I'm just normal yellow mustard. So we're gonna do that. Now you're gonna put a good amount here. And for those who don't like mustard, you will not taste it at all. This is a big brisket, it's gonna need a little bit. So then I like to rub here. All right, and now for the seasoning. So HD family, for about an 11-pound brisket, it's a big piece of beef. We're gonna go 3 tablespoons of kosher salt, 3 tablespoons of ground black pepper, 1.5 tablespoon of fine garlic powder, and then 1.5 tablespoon of Shan red chili pepper. Put in a salt shaker or bottle shaker, whatever this is called, so it's just easier to apply here. And so what you're gonna do is just gonna apply a good even coating. All right, now we're gonna apply some mustard here on this side. Bismillah. Now I'm gonna season this area here. All right, Bismillah. Here we go, HD family. Now, obviously this takes a lot of time. I usually do this the night before. I'm gonna clean up HD family, and once it's in an aluminum pan, I'll get back to you. All right, HD family, so we cleaned up, disinfected, and washed our dishes. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So I put our brisket in here. I covered it. I am not uncovering it for this video. That's it. Just trust me, it's in here. And then we're gonna put this in the fridge, like I said, tomorrow in the morning, right after Fajr, or a little bit after Fajr, inshallah. Fire up the smoker and place this. Because this needs, who knows how long it takes. 8, 10, 12 hours, we don't know. Every brisket is different. Now, what are we gonna do with these trimmings? We're gonna do something very important with HD family. Here's what we're gonna do. You're gonna stick till the end of the video to know what we're gonna do. All right, Salaam HD family. Assalamu alaikum HD family. It is 6:30 in the morning. Let me show you what we have here. Bismillah. MashaAllah. So we have our Halal Wagyu brisket from Shepherd Meats. We placed it just about a minute ago. We are cooking at 225 degrees Fahrenheit. And we just got the temperature. I don't know if you could see the HD family. And the plan is to not open this for the next 3 hours. Now I do have temperature probes. It is useless right now to put it in there. So we're gonna close this up. We're gonna check back in about 3 hours. Salaam HD family. Salaam HD family. It's been 3 hours into the smoke process. Let's check it out. First time seeing it with you, HD family. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. MashaAllah. So this mahogany color is what we're looking for, HD family. It's a red color that forms, and this is a good sign. Now it does look a little bit dry, and that's because it's the meat side up. So I might spritz it actually. That being said, Let's see if the fat is rendering well. And basically, is it getting soft? So it still has some time to go. It's still fairly hard. Expected. Very early to the stage. So this is some pooling that I don't like that. That's going to prevent good bark formation. So I might just tip it over here. Allow some of the juices to fall. But look at that color, mashallah. Looking good. So I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to wrap this. We're going to do the boating method. And basically, I'm going to take aluminum foil and across the bottom and then just kind of wrap the edges here to prevent these from drying, because this has a tendency to dry pretty fast. And then I'm going to come back and spritz it. I'll show you how to do that in a second here. Alright, Stefan, bismillah. So here I have our Wagyu biscuit wrapped. There's several ways to wrap this. If you're going to wrap the whole thing, it's way too early to wrap the whole thing. From my understanding, you want to wait until the fat has rendered off a little bit more, so the fat's a little bit softer. But I like to do this hybrid method where I could wrap a little bit earlier, but I'm not wrapping the whole thing. So this is called the boating technique. Not too many videos on that, at least when I first did it on our first brisket video. And basically, so what I have is I've learned that the best thing to have is 3 layers of aluminum foil. So it's the bottom, and then a second here, and then you have a third layer right here that you want to closely hug the brisket. This is really the whole point of this. And you want to hug the edges of the brisket here. And so if you have 3 layers, you can't use 3 layers, it's too thick. By doing this method, I am not covering this up, and I've gotten exceptional bark results. Bark is where all the intense flavor is of the brisket, and they're just unique flavors when you smoke it. Now, because again this looks a little bit dry, as I said, what I like to use is a spritzer. This is a spritzer I have. It's a pump action mechanism. So what I'm spritzing with today is vinegar, just white vinegar. People use apple cider vinegar, but we learned we do not like apple cider vinegar on our brisket. We like normal white vinegar. So we're gonna, the way this works, I filled it up with this, and then you're gonna pump it a few times, and I overfilled it, of course. But you're gonna pump it, then you're gonna spritz, just like this, just like that, and you're gonna spritz a fairly good amount. This is a big piece of meat. If you're looking for a spritzer, we really like it. Very simple to use. It's on the small side, but it's good for our size. So I'll put that link in the description below as well. So I think we'll check back on it in a couple hours. Actually, this is a good point just to put a temperature probe just to kind of see where we're at. All right, family. So we'll check back on it in about 2 hours. Check if it needs spritzing. So see you then. In the meantime, HD family, we're gonna do a couple of things. Number one, what are we going to do with this beef trimming? There's something really useful to do, and we're going to actually make some halal beef tallow, and this is Wagyu beef tallow. So what can you do with beef tallow? Well, you could do a number of things. You could actually increase the flavor of your brisket at the end with some beef tallow. You can fry in beef tallow. You could cook your steaks in beef tallow instead of butter. You can make homemade tortillas with beef tallow instead of the usual lard that's used. So lots of uses for beef tallow. We're gonna just dump this in here, just like that. There is a little bit of meat. There is not much. That's okay. And what I'm gonna do is add just a little bit of water so that as I heat this up, the fat doesn't scorch. So that's probably about a half cup. And I'm gonna turn on the heat. So you want to probably about a medium, because this is gonna take probably a couple hours total. There aren't too many videos on how to make beef tallow, let alone Wagyu beef tallow. Thought, we try making it. During this time, HD family, you do want to stir occasionally, as you don't want the ones on the bottom to burn and then the top ones not to burn. What we're looking for is 2 things. Number one, rendering of this fat, and I'll explain what that means in a second, and for eventually the water to evaporate. As this heats up, the fat will start to melt into tallow, and basically these big chunks of fat will get smaller and smaller. As the fat is rendered into oil, the water will eventually all evaporate out. What you're going to be looking for is a gold colored liquid, and these bits to be crispy, not burned, but crispy. And so to prevent burning, you're gonna have to be stirring here and there. Barely a simmer is what we're looking for. Salaam family, we're back with the audio. So these are cooked, probably a little bit, some of them a little burnt. That's okay. So we're gonna put these here to the side. Some people actually save these crispy bits, add a little bit of salt, add it to different things to give, you know, anything to give crispiness and kind of fatty flavor. So cool down just a bit, but definitely not cool enough to strain, which is going to be the next step. All right, family, so we have our beef tallow cool down, and I'm going to put it in here. So when I put it finally in our jar, it's a lot easier to pour it because we're going to pour it into here through the coffee filter. So through here, we're going to use a coarse sieve. All right, bismillah. Put a coffee filter here, HD family, and this is going to be a slow process. It's going to take some time. So now it's much easier to pour it through here. Salaam HD family, finally we have this gold liquid here, Halal Beef Wagyu Tallow. Now it took quite a bit of coffee filters because they would plug up. So what we ended up using is this very fancy filter. Now it wasn't as pure, but it was a good compromise. So otherwise it would have taken probably 3 or 4 hours, and honestly, and maybe 10 or 20 coffee filters. So we just compromised with this. There's a lot of information about how long this lasts. So we'll just kind of play it by ear and see how long it lasts. Salaam HD family. So 3 hours in since our last check-in. A total of 8.5 hours so far. Bismillah, let's check it out. MashaAllah. I mean, that bark is looking good. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Bismillah. MashaAllah. Alright, HD family. So we're almost 14 hours in. This is the longest brisket I've ever cooked. And we're still not buttery tender when probing. I still think it probably needs another hour. So issue is going to be very late night. And so we're going to rest this. I think the plan is once it probes tender, however long it takes, I'm going to take it and I'm going to wrap it and then put it in a dry cooler. So now HD family, so after 16 hours we have this nice beautiful Halal Wagyu brisket. Look at that bark, mashallah. So it's really too late to eat it right now. It's 11 o'clock at night. Alright, bismillah HD family. Mashallah. Before we wrap this HD family, what we're gonna do is we're gonna put some our beef tallow. Put a little bit here. That's why I put the aluminum foil on the bottom, HD family, so it doesn't get the bottom too greasy. So it's my first time using halal beef tallow, so I'm really excited to see how. Alright, that's enough. So now we're gonna wrap it. So the way I wrap is I have 2 sheets of butcher paper here. I put them on top, and then I take this end here, fold it, just like that. I'm going to flip this once. I'm going to flip it again. So that way the meat side is back up. Alright, family. Next, we're going to actually wrap this in towel. And this is to provide more insulation. And then we're going to put this in our dry cooler. Alright, family. So we put another layer of towel here on top of the wrapped one into the dry cooler. We'll close it. So tomorrow, a little bit after Fajr, I'll check on it, put it in the oven if there's any concern about the temperature dropping too low. Salaam HD family. Salaam HD family. Finally, it's lunchtime and we are ready to have this brisket. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. So a few things to keep in mind. We had to, because it cooked so late yesterday, we had to put it in the cooler for quite some time, and then managed to put it in the oven before it got to a low temperature. And after lots of consulting with the Halal Barbecue Masters, shout out to them. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, things are working out. So we're going to unwrap this. So I'm going to just tilt this so you guys can see. Bismillah. This is why I like to wrap it like this. Just easier here, instead of having to flip it. And by the way, the HT family, the smell here is just tremendous. I mean, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. There we go. Again, HT family, just look how jiggly it is here. So that's a very good sign. So we're gonna cut this against the grain. Again, the grain is going like this, so we're gonna cut like this. Usually remove the first few inches first. You want to use a nice sharp knife. Alright, bismillah. So this part's a little bit dry. Actually very juicy, but nice bark. We'll save this for the end. So now we're gonna cut this into slices, usually about pencil thick slices. Just so you guys know how tender it is. We'll show you more, but just falls apart just like that. So now what we're gonna do is, this is where we get to the point part. So now you wanna cut this way this time. So because the grains do switch, start here. And this one again, about pencil thick if you can. Alright, Stefan, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So let's take one of these flats here. Let's see, take this one here. Alright, so a couple things to notice. HT family. There's a decent smoke ring. When you lift it up like this, it doesn't fall under its own weight. You actually don't want it so tender that it just kind of falls off. You want to be able to separate it with a simple pull. Very easy. Alhamdulillah. So we're going to take a bite here. This part just a lot of fat. Look at the amazing bark. Inshallah. Alright, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First bite for our brothers and sisters in Japan and Palestine.
Palestine and Syria.
Syria. Yeah, first bite for Palestine and Syria. Alright, bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Stefan. Bismillah. Very tender. Good amount of flavor. That bark packs a lot of flavor as well. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Really, really nice. I can't really tell. I really can't really tell too much of a difference between the Wagyu and the Prime, to be honest. But alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Good experience otherwise. So we just tasted the leaner flat, which I think, to be honest, I probably dried it up a little bit too much, but still really fantastic. Next up is the point. So this will be a good test. So the point is gonna be. Alright, so here we have the point, so it's gonna, this is the point part, and if you see the fat is rendered really well. You can't really see much of the fat, so that means it melted, and it should be tender. MashaAllah. Alright, this is the most tender point I've ever made so far, so that's, I'm really excited about that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That's extremely tender. I think this is the difference between the Wagyu and the Prime. I can tell, it literally melts in your mouth like butter. It literally melts in your mouth like butter. Actually, family, I hope you enjoyed making American Wagyu brisket from shepherd meat. Alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. A great piece of meat. I definitely recommend it if you're able to. Alhamdulillah wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah. I want to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for all these blessings. I want to thank the HT families for supporting the channel. As the HT family knows, we're not only here to halalify, we're here to be a benefit. By simply watching our videos, the intention is to help support charitable organizations, inshallah. As always, we encourage what is good. We stand up against injustice and oppression. We are with our brothers and sisters in Gaza, in Palestine, in Syria, in Silwan, in Beta, in Sheikh Jarrah, in Al-Aqsa, in Jordan, in Syria, in Yemen, in Lebanon, in Egypt, in Iraq, in Afghanistan, in Pakistan, in Turkey, in India, our Rohingya and Uyghur brothers and sisters, our Kashmiri brothers and sisters, our brothers and sisters in Indonesia, in Malaysia, in Singapore, in Thailand, in Japan, in Korea, in Morocco, in Libya, in Tunisia, in Kenya, in Morocco, in Sudan, in Somalia, here in America, in all of North America, in South America, in Europe, in Asia, and Australia, and everywhere where Allah and His Messenger are raised and praised. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be a benefit to all of humanity based on the sunnah of our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And with that, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be to you all.